question is, how do we recognize fabricated hadith? It would be beneficial for us to look back in time at the Qur'an telling us the previous scriptures people wrote with their own hands. If they did that to revelation which came from Allah, then how could you say it's impossible for them to do that with that which did not come as revelation from Allah, hadith? Naturally, if they could change the word of Allah, how is it possible that they will not be able to change the word of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Particularly when he prohibited in his lifetime, prohibited his words being recorded. So there were no hadiths recorded in writing. They were transmitted verbally. And so then we have to now deal with a situation in which verbal transmission over a period of 200 years before the process of collection and recording. And they were very careful now when they were assessing, because they knew that some would be sound and some would not be sound. Some would be strong and some would be weak and strong. And so they had a rigorous system of assessing hadiths. Otherwise they should all be perfect and clear, all authentic, but that was not the case. The method was to look to see the chain of narrators who narrated the hadith and what kind of integrity did they have. This is called the Asma'ul Rijal. And if they found that the chain of narrators was broken, then we say, well, no, this is not too good. Yeah? So when the chain of narrators directly from the Prophet ﷺ was a sound chain, an unbroken chain, and all those who were in that chain were considered to be men of integrity, whose word could be trusted, then they said that this was a sound hadith. And this is a big science that they had, the science of the collection of the hadiths and so on, and assessing hadith. And we are now 1400 years away from that. So it's very little work left for us now. They've all done the work before us. So now do we accept that every hadith which is in Sahih Bukhari, it's Sahih, and therefore it's absolutely authentic? You understand the English language, I hope, that every hadith is in Sahih Bukhari is absolutely authentic, meaning has an authenticity. Excuse me for this here. Can you turn this off for me, please, somebody? Just turn it off for me. Yeah. It has an authenticity on par with the Qur'an, because the Qur'an is absolutely authentic. And therefore, all this Sahih hadith, thank you very much, every Sahih hadith is absolutely authentic, because they've already done the work of checking out the chain of narrators and the integrity of the men who were involved in the chain. No, that's not enough. That's not enough. Why? Because even the word of Allah was changed in previous revelations. And for this reason, but first let me give you an example. Allah says in the Qur'an, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وأخذهم الربا وقد نهوا عنه. That they were taking riba, the people who came before us, the Ahlul Kitab, who are Jews and Christians, but who previously were known as Banu Israel. And they're taking riba. Riba, money lending on interest. Lending your money on interest is one form of riba. Another form of riba will be ripping people off. Transactions based on deception, which rip people off. And you know the biggest rip-off was all. Because of the biggest rip-off since Adam alayhi salam came down on earth, today Pakistan is miserably poor. And Bangladesh is miserably poor. And Algeria and Morocco and Indonesia. And another part of the world is filthy rich. And some people don't care to inquire how this happened. They have a status equivalent to cattle. Cattle. But there are others who have a desire in their heart for knowledge. They have a restlessness in their heart for something called knowledge. And it's not sold in the supermarkets, knowledge. And they want to know how, why. It's all because of this. Riba, the second form. It's the money that you now use, every single one of us is using it. It's made of paper. And those who have the intellectual acumen of cattle, they never ask, where did it come from? Is the paper money halal or haram? They never ask, and some of them don't even want to ask. We have other more important things to do in life. Well, this is called a monetary system. And now it's on its way out, you know. It is saying Al-Wida and it's going out into the sunset. And a new kind of money is coming that is even more dangerous. Money you can't see, money you can't touch. And because of this, it's not only poverty and destitution. What now lies ahead is slavery. So Allah says, وَأَخْذِهِمُ الرِّبَا وَقَدْ نُهُوا عَنْهُ. And they were taking riba, although it was prohibited for them. When we go to the Torah, and our remarks are not meant to disrespect Christians and Jews, because that's not the style of a Muslim. A Muslim does not pick up boxing gloves when he enters into dialogue with Christians and Jews. If a Muslim picks up boxing gloves, see what Allah will do with him. I don't need to say anything more. That's enough. So when we enter into dialogue with Christians and Jews, we do it in the most respectful way, the most dignified way. And we point out that in the Torah, after this day, the Torah says that if an Israelite is dealing with another Israelite, he must not lend him money on interest. No, it's haram, it's prohibited. But if you're dealing with those who are not Israelites, you are allowed to lend them money on interest. That looks like double standards. That this is a man with whom I can relate, and the moral law is applicable to him. But these others are less, they are inferior. They don't belong into the same category with us. So we are allowed to rip them off. These words are not spoken in any derogatory way, but these words are spoken with truth. So here you are. Allah says they changed the word of Allah. And there is the evidence. In consequence of this, when the Qur'an came down, Allah made a declaration never made before in history, the one God. He says, we are the ones who are sending it down, and we are the ones who are going to protect this book. Not even NATO can change this book. Don't try. You won't succeed. Allah is protecting this book, as a consequence of which anyone who says that there's absolute authenticity anywhere else but in the Qur'an is whistling in the wind. Someone should tell him, wake up, you're sleeping. Someone should remind him that absolute authenticity is located only in the Qur'an. There you are. Having established that, if you still insist that there's absolute authenticity in the hadith, we part company from you because we don't have any means anymore of dialogue with you. Yeah. It's useless for us to talk with you anymore, because this is the foundation stone on which our house of knowledge is built. Other than this, there's nothing to talk about. So you go your way, and we go our way. That absolute authenticity is located only in the Qur'an. Good. Well then, what do we do with hadith? Even when they are Sahih hadith. If this is absolutely authentic, then the Qur'an must sit in judgment over the hadith. The Qur'an must be used to assess the hadith. So although all of this work has already been done, and may Allah bless them for the work they have done, there is still more work to be done. And this is that we must use the Qur'an to assess the hadith. This kind of thinking has come from my teacher of blessed memory, Maulana Dr. Muhammad Fadlur Rahman Ansari. This man was an authentic scholar. Oh yes. This is an authentic scholar. And he has declared that the Qur'an must be used to judge the hadith. The Qur'an must sit in judgment over the hadith. I have written a book entitled, it should be at the back, Methodology for Study of the Qur'an. And it has been probably a whole year now since it's been written. I wish someone had written it when I was a student. It would have been very helpful for me if I could have had that book when I was a student. But what my teacher taught me, and when he writes with a very complex style. He's a philosopher. But I write in a simple style. So I put his thoughts into that book in a simple style. If a hadith is in harmony with the Qur'an, we immediately accept it. If a hadith is in conflict with the Qur'an, we put it aside. If a hadith is neither in conflict nor in harmony, like nearly all of the hadiths that the Shia use, then we say, this is not priority importance. No. This is not a matter of priority importance. This can be put aside for a while, and we'll deal with it afterwards. Number two, you do not use a hadith which is neither in harmony nor in conflict to divide yourself from your brothers. No, that's not sensible at all. You do not construct the house of knowledge on the hadiths which have this lower status. So you direct your primary attention to those hadiths which are in harmony with the Qur'an. Every time that Allah speaks in the Qur'an about marriage, He always uses the term nisa. Nisa. Nisa is women, not child. Marry women. فَانْكِحُوا مَا طَابَ لَكُم مِّنَ النِّسَاءِ مَثْنَى وَثُلَاثَ وَرُبَاعَ. Okay? Women. Allah speaks in the Quran and He says, Nisa'ukum harthul lakum. That your relationship with your woman, Nisa, is like a farmer with his field. I know this is going to be very difficult for the British government to swallow. But I don't care 2 peanuts. Yes. Because the truth which has come from Allah must be proclaimed regardless of the price we have to pay. Okay? And those who are now promoting the sinful agenda of homosexuality and who now are laden with sin, and the jinn who are supporting them, the shayateen, are laden with sin. Allah says in Surah Al-Rahman, and I love it, oh yes, I love it, because we have suffered for 500 years. They have oppressed us for 500 years. And Allah says, فَعَدَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. He says, سَنَفْرُغُ لَكُمْ أَيُّهَا الثَّقَلَانِ. He says, I'm going to deal with you. Both of you who are laden with sin, I'm going to deal with you. I love it. And of course, at the top of the list, the ones to be destroyed first of all are the ones who are engaged in promoting homosexuality and lesbianism. So Allah says, your women are your fields, not your men. No. Your women are your fields that you plow. Not men, women. He says, فَأْتُوا حَرْثَكُمْ أَنَّا شِئْتُمْ. That the marital relationship in which you build a family is similar, is analogous to a farmer and its field. Okay? The farmer plows the field, the farmer plants the seed, and then the farmer takes care of the nursery plant. Huh? Did you hear that? He takes care of the nursery plant. He pushes the nursery plants away from the strong wind, protecting the nursery plant. So you're going to send your children to a school where they can be taught that a man can marry another man and get a marriage certificate? Is that a farmer? Is that what a farmer does? Now then, you'll only plant your seed in a soil where the seed can fertilize. And a woman does not produce an egg until she reaches the age of 50. So nothing will fertilize. Do I need to go further? That you have to have a PhD in horrendous stupidity. Yes, a horrendously stupid person to believe that you can marry a child. Not only that, you have to be a beast, an absolute beast, to believe you can marry a child, because once you marry her, you have the right to take her home. She's your wife, and close the door. And what you do with her inside your house is not in anybody's business. We can't intervene. No, we can't. So if you permit the marriage with a child, you have to answer to judgment, another judgment day for that child. Because that child is not a field. That child is not producing an egg. If you plant anything, it cannot grow. You just need a little bit of common sense to understand the Qur'an. And then the Qur'an will tell you, if there is a hadith which says that someone married a child 6 years of age, this is in conflict with the Qur'an, manifest conflict with the Qur'an. And I've only taken 1 or 2 verses of the Qur'an, there are many more. So here you are. Here's an example of a hadith which is in Sahih Bukhari and which is in conflict with the Qur'an. And if as a consequence of my saying that this hadith is in conflict with the Qur'an, you want to close the doors of the masjid for me, then I say, wait, on Judgment Day,